What led to the adoption of VHS tape over Betamax in the world of video formatting? Or, more recently, the Blu-ray disc over HD DVD? Is streaming now the next step in this evolution? Or does hardware still have a place in digital media? How can we determine which innovative technologies end up being accepted or rejected by society at large? This presentation will be looking into 3 enabling factors that led to a technology's successful adoption, as well as 3 disabling factors that led to another's eventual failure. Let's begin with the success story of the Apple iPod. While many MP3 players in the early years had the ability to upload or sync audio content, the iPod forged its place at the top in the following 3 ways: its user interface, complete digital integration, and including rival platforms in its scope and design. The user interface of the iPod was elegant in its simplicity and genius in its functionality. A click wheel, 5 buttons, and scrolling menu was all that you needed to navigate your music library. The volume control and power switch design were brilliant and remain to this day a gold standard. Before the iPod, companies like Creative would ship third-party music software with their MP3 players. Whatever they supplied played music on your computer well enough, but syncing or even uploading your library to the MP3 player was another matter entirely. With the iPod, you could copy one of your CDs with your Mac, and 10 minutes later it would be in your pocket on the iPod. While there was, and still is, a healthy rivalry between Apple and Microsoft, the iPod could not have succeeded at the level it did without making the device available for Windows users. Not only did Apple want it to run on a PC, but that iPod iTunes integration had to be as easy and seamless as it was for Mac users. Their quick moves to include PC compatibility showed that Apple was committed to the iPod as a platform. In my opinion, the iPod still offers advantages that current iPhones and streaming services don't. Its physical size versus storage capacity, its battery life, and that personal flair that comes with accumulating your own music and building your own playlists help to keep iPod relevant. Now, let's look at 3 disabling factors in the development of the Sega Saturn. Especially in the US and Canada, the Sega Saturn was the first follow-up console to Sega's very popular Genesis console, but the Saturn failed to compete against Sony's PlayStation and Nintendo's N64 in 3 ways: confusion in its own marketing, a lack of foundational games, as well as poor third-party game development, and successful marketing of competitors, especially the Sony PlayStation. At the very first Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3, in May 1995, Sega announced that the original release date of the Saturn Day, September 1995, was a marketing gimmick, and that the Saturn was actually available that very day at select stores. This announcement caught major retailers by surprise, leading to a shortage of consoles available in the US. And in addition to alienating some retailers like Walmart and KB Toys, the marketing blunder led third-party game developers to believe that Sega was attempting to push their own game titles opposed to third parties. Aside from shortages of supply, and as a result of alienating game developers, the Saturn also suffered due to a lack of foundational game titles, like Sonic the Hedgehog, for example. A result of human error and a series of unfortunate events, if you will, this neglect of development led Sega to believe that the console was dead in the water and therefore abandoned the Saturn. By 1998, and after only 4 years since the Saturn's debut, the company released the last game for the console. One of the biggest reasons for the Saturn's poor performance and sales was a transition from two-dimensional or 2D graphics to 3D. Sega's competitors, like Sony, understood that the future of console gaming was in 3D visuals. Sega also marketed the Saturn as though it was meant for teens and children. But Sony saw a new market for young 20-something professionals with disposable incomes. And thus was born the extended adolescence characteristic of the man-child. Well, thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing each one of your presentations. Have a good night.